Hello everyone, and welcome to the Final Fantasy VII RE-CAST. The Final Fantasy VII RE-CAST is a podcast dedicated to the Final Fantasy VII Remake universe. In episode 5, we will discuss our thoughts on Crisis Core Reunion, any changes that were made from the original 2008 PSP release, and what we hope to see from Zack and company going forward. Finally, after 4 episodes of recap and anticipation, it's time to dive into Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion. What's going on, everyone? It's your boys back again once again for this and highly anticipated episode for us, at least, because we've been holding on to this for quite some time.
15 years.
Yeah, 15 years to say the least. But for whatever, if for whatever reason, if you're new to the recast, what's going on? Welcome. It's your boy Uch. I'm here with Sweet Johnny Cage, the best guide and walkthrough YouTuber you're ever gonna see, okay? Because that's just how it goes. All right, we keep it real out here. But yes, this is the 5th episode that we have for RECAST. And if you missed out on the first 4 episodes, I definitely would love for you guys to go check those out, because if for whatever reason, if you haven't played the original, we basically recap the original and give our thoughts, as we've been kind of saying in our intros here, as to what might happen in Reunion, which this is what this episode is all about, because now we've both finally beaten it. Johnny still has hella videos, hella guides. You missing a trophy? Hit him up. He's got you. Okay?
I got them all. Well, for the most part.
Yeah, so I'm still working on platinuming, because like, you know, like I wanted to get the main game beat, and now I'm just like running through all these missions and everything. But yeah, so this episode is essentially just our thoughts and whatever happens, because I know we're gonna get into some more theories. I'm sure of it. So go ahead.
So off the bat, I will say the game, and spoiler warning, obviously.
Yeah.
This game is as advertised, and I'm a little disappointed by that. Like, I'm a touch disappointed that there wasn't at least a bonus cutscene like there was at the end of the UCHI DLC. But if the timeline is intact up until the point of remake, like up until, you know, that whole thing, it makes sense. And there is evidence within the game that, like, that's what it is. Like, there's a moment where it's during the fight between Zack and Sephiroth and Cloud and Sephiroth, where Cloud stabs Sephiroth and like some gray smoke comes out.
Yes.
This is, I've been waiting to talk about this for weeks now.
Yep, me too.
That, like, it bothered me. Like, I get it. So there's 2 things at play here. One, it could be censorship.
Yep.
Like, it could just be that you can't show a straight up impalement. I know decapitation is kind of off the table in Japan, which is why they've changed which is why I think they've changed the head of Genova. Like, you don't see as much like brain matter. You don't really see her face.
I was wondering that.
It's just like steel. Yeah, it's very odd. But when Cloud stabs Sephiroth and when Sephiroth impales Cloud, gray smoke comes out, which on one hand, I do think is censorship, but on the other hand, it could be the Whispers, like, keeping the timeline intact and also explaining why both of them live, because it is odd that they survive those wounds. And we saw in Remake, Barrett gets impaled by Sephiroth and lives because a Whisper kind of takes the blow, but I can't remember if, like, Barrett passes out or wakes up or anything like that. Like, I don't really remember what happens there.
Yeah.
I just remember him getting stabbed, being like, what? And then it was a Whisper. So aside from those changes, really not much else. The game is a full-on remaster, really. Yeah. Which is cool. Yeah. I dig it. I'm glad it exists because, like I've been saying, you know, in every episode of this podcast, like, this game has been stuck on PlayStation Portable in physical form. You could never download this game digitally. It's been stuck on PSP for going on 15, 16 years now. 2007 was the Japanese release. 2008 was the American release, or the Western release. And so I'm really glad it's on a modern console. But I was hoping for more. There is one other thing that I think is an odd change, a very odd change, but I've been kind of capitalizing the conversation here, so I'll let you go. Let us know your thoughts, Uch.
All right, so far, right, I'm glad you got into... I'm glad that's how you started with, because I remember when you put out your video talking about exactly that, I was like if you could insert your hype man, I was doing all... I was like, yeah, that's what I was... exactly what I was thinking.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like as soon as... Because when I was playing it, and I streamed my entire playthrough, and all the VODs and stuff are on my channel, I reacted that exact same way. Where as soon as I saw that gray smoke, I was like, what's that? What's that?
What up with that?
You know? Yeah. Like the censorship thing, that is actually a pretty legitimate like thing to think about. You know, like, because that is very real. Like that could definitely be a possibility. And now that you mention the Genova head, which I also thought was a little weird, because I was just like, didn't we see her whole face?
Yeah, she has a face. She has a face.
Yeah. So like, I wasn't crazy even thinking that, but I was like, I was like, maybe, you know, it's just the fact that this game is so HD now, because, you know, we're going from PSP to this, that a lot of things
no longer
like
looks
that,
like a high def cartoon.
Yeah.
It looks, it's Unreal Engine. It's supposed to look somewhat real.
Yeah. So like this, you know, the entire experience for me, because obviously, like I've said in previous episodes, like this was my first time playing Crisis Core at all. I've never had the game, unfortunately. Matter of fact, the only Final Fantasy outside of 7 that I had for my PSP was Dissidia, and that's literally what I got the PSP for. It was the bundle. It came with like the silver.
That was on PSP.
Yeah, the first Dissidia was on PSP.
Jesus.
I got that game just for Cloud. I was like, oh, a fighting game, Cloud, boom, I'm in there. Like
Dissidia NT is what's on modern consoles.
That was PS4. I believe it was first arcade though, if I'm not mistaken.
It absolutely was.
Right. So yes. So yeah, either way, like that part that we're talking about right now, that had me really feeling like, okay, this is interesting, because if we're gonna take it down the route of that is the whispers, I'm with it. You know, like I'm totally with it. And I too was also wondering or hoping, like I was waiting for that slight change to take place, especially at the end, because I'm just like, bro, like, how are they gonna explain this? So of course they're really saving that for Rebirth. Like we're probably gonna find out more once that game actually comes out later this year, hopefully. And then what really set me in was the end where they say continues in Final Fantasy VII. Yes. No remake, just 7. And I was like, bro.
Yeah, I was there. Even like, so that Stinger cutscene, which previously was, so for those of you who have not played Reunion, the game is running or was built on the original PSP game's code. Like the timing of the cutscenes is the exact same. The dialogue is 99% the same. There's one change that I caught. And the actual like FMV cutscenes, which you don't really have anymore, but it stands for full motion video. And these were like cinematic cutscenes.
Yeah.
Those are the original PSP cutscenes upscaled to like 1080p and 4K. So like it's the exact same game with a ton of great quality of life changes gameplay wise.
Yeah.
I loved playing it. And like when you get to Nibelheim, it like, not that it feels like this is where the budget went, but like it feels like this is what we've been waiting for. And so they put a lot of detail and love into this. And then when you get to Mount Nibel, it's like, holy shit. Like this is what this game could look like. This is what it could look like in Rebirth. And then Gongaga is the same thing. Like it really looked very, very good. But for that final Stinger cutscene, they inserted clips from Remake's opening cutscene. Like, it's a very weird choice, especially when it says the story will continue in Final Fantasy VII, but they're using Aerith from Remake. Like,
right.
It makes zero sense to me why, of all the cutscenes to change and quote unquote update, it's the first 2 seconds of the Stinger cutscene of the reintroduction of Cloud. Like it bothered me.
Yeah, it bothered me too, not gonna lie, because I was just like, how are they gonna really do that? Because it was in the market and they said this was more than a remaster. They said that. So I'm waiting.
I think they meant that more from a gameplay perspective, like because of the amount of changes they made to the gameplay.
Yeah.
It's not entirely one-to-one. And it does, like, the game itself looks and plays very well.
Yeah.
It is not just an HD skin on top of the game. Like, yes, the dialogue is the same, the pacing is the same, the cutscenes are the same. But when you're actually physically controlling this game and playing it, it feels a billion times better. One, it's running at 60 FPS. It's no longer running at like 25 to 30 sometimes. The combat is way smoother.
Oh, yeah.
You never get interrupted while playing. You can bank your limit breaks. You can bank your summons. Like, the game never like forces you to look at the slots. Like, it doesn't like put them full screen and like completely halt the combat. Modulating phase is gone. Like, and like the actual sword play is the same as 7 Remake. Like, it feels good to play. But yeah, like that ending change, like putting Aerith, like the literal scene of Aerith praying to like the Mako fountain or whatever, like or the broken pipe in Midgar, and then looking up at the camera and like the camera like zooming out. And like you seeing like 7 Remake Midgar, and it looks gorgeous in 4K. It looks incredible. But then as soon as as soon as it gets to the part where like the logo is gonna like crash onto the screen for Final Fantasy VII Remake, it cuts back to the PSP cutscene.
Right.
And it's like, what the fuck? Like, what? Why bother? Like,
yeah.
At that point, why bother?
Yeah, I feel like that was more like if we had to put a reasoning behind it, like a logical reasoning. I feel like it had everything to do with them just trying to like make sure that everything or certain things were, I guess, up to date, because like they saved the PSP cutscenes for, moments in the game. And I guess, I don't know, like because it's the end of this game and it is going into something that's a little bit more familiar territory, they reused, legit properties from Remake just for that end scene, I suppose, but yeah, still weird. I definitely agree with that.
The other little change that I'm glad they made, so 2 things. One, they updated the dialogue of the guy who's building 7th Heaven.
The bosom line, they took it out.
Yeah, they took it out, thank God.
Yeah. Yeah.
I always thought that was like really corny. But then the other change they made was when like Zack brings Genesis's corpse out of Benora at the end of the game and then leaves with Cloud, a Shinra helicopter lands and 2 soldiers get out and carry Genesis' corpse away, and they say like, will he be our brother? And like that scene was in the original. However, in Reunion, they made it much more apparent that those 2 soldiers are Vice and Nero, who through Remake we have seen now. And like I know Vice was in Dirge. I don't know if Nero really was. I never played Dirge of Cerberus.
Neither have I.
Those deep ground characters are now like known within the Rebirth universe or the remake universe, and like they showed Vice's like silver hair, like it's very clearly him, and I believe it's the same voice actors for him and Nero. And so like this opens the door for Genesis to appear in Rebirth or Part 3. And so like I like that change was made, but it hardly feels like enough because that was already known. Like it was established through Dirge that that's who it was. You know? So it doesn't feel like a substantial change or even like a significant one. It's just making it a bit more clear. Like it's a clarifying change.
Okay. Yeah, I guess
so. I don't know. I'm really glad it exists. I really am, and like I'm glad you got to play it. I'm glad I got to play it again. But I really was. I think because of the expectations from Remake, this was like a tough pill to swallow. That there was like nothing to do with Remake.
We definitely hyped ourselves up hard.
We did, and like. Lie. That's on us, you know what I mean? That's on us, but like I feel like Square had to know, like if you look at it this way, right? Like they released the UCHI DLC and like for Remake, and part of that is like, hey, you got to go out and buy a PS5. Like Rebirth is PS5 only, and that
was the warning, the last warning.
Right, that's the warning. It's PS5 and PC only. Well, I don't know if Rebirth is. I'm sure Rebirth will come to PC eventually, but like,
yeah.
We are going to next generation for this next part of the RPG. Go buy a PS5.
Do not miss that train.
Right. Second, it plays a really cool game of like inserting UCHI, like injecting UCHI on the side and being like, hey, she's here. She's just not interacting with the main party, but she's around. So like get ready for her. And 3, like the gameplay was dope. And it shows you like what they can really do with this engine. But like playing that, there was no expectation that there was ever going to be anything else at the end. Like, at least for me, like when I played it, I was like, okay, Sonon's dead maybe, like maybe he goes to deep ground, like whatever. Okay, cool. Like we saw Yuffie's point of view. And then you get the bonus cutscene. Like you basically get 2 bonus cutscenes. It's like, yeah, the party gets to calm. Cool. But then it's like, you get the extra Zack thing, and then they announce Crisis Core Reunion. So it's like the expectation was set by Square in a way. We definitely hyped ourselves up, but I don't think it was unreasonable to expect an extra cutscene at the very least.
Not at all. Not at all. Like that. I mean, that's the most we were actually wanting to see.
Right. That's all I wanted.
Just a cutscene. And like you were saying, you were going to keep an eye on that potato chip bag.
I was just looking for something, and like it's fine that it never came, but it's tough. Especially we live in an era of Marvel movies and DC movies and games that always have like the one more thing, you know what I mean? Like that's just how things are now, and it's fine if it's not there. But even the original 7 has a bonus cutscene. Like the original 7 has an extra cutscene after the credits. Like it's not unreasonable.
Yeah, that makes me like wonder because like, and this is like just a little side thing, but I remember as I was in the process of beating it, someone in my chat had told me indirectly that there's like a hidden cutscene. I'm like, I haven't seen a single person at all even say that. Like, and then I checked with you and you're like, no, that they're lying. Right? Just like deaded that real quick. But that's like, it's kind of shocking, but here's the other reasoning that I could think of as to why they kept Reunion as is, based even though they kind of set themselves up to make us expect like just another scene or something to like acknowledge how they've already twice surprised us with Zack, right? So this would have been like the 3-piece right here, if with Reunion. So I think that after we've experienced it, we played it, we've seen what happens. I think that this move is kind of a strange move because you want to capitalize off the hype and the anticipation, everything like that. But I think in a way, this is almost gonna just make us as fans and players just that much more like excited and in need of Rebirth, since that's the next one.
Sure, that's true. Like, yeah,
You
like
know?
we get nothing after Reunion, so like, not that we have nothing to look like. We definitely have a ton to look forward to in
Right,
Rebirth, but like, the mystery is completely within that game.
Yeah, like that. Exactly that. You know, like they're putting all the eggs in that basket right there. Like they're trying to make sure that people really are gonna just like, you know, and I'm sure they are. And then I'm pretty sure before then we're gonna get the Ever Crisis mobile game, which like
Right.
I don't know where they're gonna, you know, what direction that might go in. I would be surprised if there was things injected in there that were underlying that might give us some sort of, you know, tease or direction that, you know, would definitely get answered or acknowledged in Rebirth. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, they showed like a young Sephiroth in that trailer, like,
yeah. So
which we've really, as far as I know, have never seen before, unless there's something in Dirge, but I don't know.
yeah. So like,
Or maybe Ever Crisis, or Before Crisis,
before Crisis, yeah.
the Turks mobile game. Maybe he was in that. I don't know.
Yeah, man. So it's like, you know, either way, like, you know, there's still plenty of questions that we definitely freaking need answers to.
Yeah.
But, you know, and then aside from that, like, I'm just thinking of like all the media or just anything that you can possibly digest or intake before Rebirth comes out to like, you know, scratch the itch is that game, right? It's Ever Crisis, the mobile game. And then there's this book that I showed you that's about Aerith. And like I didn't even know about it until like it was I'm pretty sure it actually might have been right after we were done recording our last episode. Cause like we kept talking and we were like getting all hype and everything. And I was like super like in with the shits. Like I was like, yo, I need to just consume Final Fantasy VII something right now. This was like before we even had Reunion because like I needed to play that game. I was so excited. So yeah, so this I'm looking at it right now because I got it on pre-order, of course, right? Final Fantasy VII Remake, Traces of Two Pasts. It's a novel, right? And it's something to, of course, look forward to. And I guess I'll read this real quick just to see, just so that y'all can, of course, like, you know, if you didn't know, now you know. This novel in 2 parts delves into the past of Aerith Gainsborough and Tifa Lockhart, the beloved heroines of Final Fantasy VII. And although having met only days before, during the earth-shattering sequence of events that led to their escape from Midgar, Aerith and Tifa have already formed a tentative friendship based on mutual trust and respect. And as they continue on their journey with Cloudbear and Red 13, the 2 women open up to each other, further exchanging stories from their past. And then by turns, exciting, humorous, and poignant, this work from Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts writer Kazushige Nojima brings greater depth to the characters of Aerith and Tifa and to the world of Final Fantasy VII. So what is this book gonna do? It's gonna give us like a little bit of an epilogue before Rebirth, but it's mainly gonna kind of dive in deeper past for both of these characters. Now, Tifa's story
Do you think
is,
this will be a bridge between Reunion and Rebirth, though?
that's exactly what I'm trying to say. It's gonna be like one of those like small little bridges that, you know, like, because in reality, like in real time, I should say, this is like this would come right after I guess you can consider the Integrate, right? Because it's like Remake and then Integrate, even though Integrate kind of like, well, yeah, no, Integrate happens like after they're already gone, right?
Integrate happens between the Sector 5 reactor bombing and Shinra dropping the Sector 7 plate.
Okay, yeah, so like in between like certain chapters in 7 Remake.
Right, exactly. I think it's like
okay.
chapters 4 and 6 or something like that.
All right, so yeah, so basically this book takes place after Remake, point blank, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even if it's not like a crazy, like, oh yeah, like so much time has passed since, like once we pick things back up in Rebirth, like this is, you know, we're seeing the characters in like, you know, and it's going to be like 3 years pretty much because we haven't played the game since 2020. And I don't know if we're gonna get a whole lot of like what's to come. They could tease us in this book, but I find it a little bit more interesting that they had taken the time out to give us more backstory on Tifa and more importantly Aerith. Like, I feel like she might, you know, since now that they're opening up to each other or whatever, we might actually hear more stories that we may not have heard before from Aerith when she explains it to Tifa. And I think that's worth paying attention to. And like, I'm no novel reader. I haven't read books like that since like Harry Potter. Okay? I'm a comic and manga guy. So the fact that they got me this hooked and I'm just trying to like absorb any bit of story that I can to like help with these, you know, theories and all that. Like, I'll have a link in the description to you can pre-order this too. This actually drops. Originally, this was supposed to come out this month in January, but it's coming out March 21st, 2023. So, 2 past. Gonna be very interesting little read there. Let me see. I'm trying to see. It's gonna be it's pretty lengthy. It's gonna be 384 pages, so that's crazy.
Available digitally for $15.
Yeah, so if you don't want to wait, you know, you get that digital version, just, you know, whatever. I like having my hard copies, I'm not gonna lie. I don't mind digital, but like, I definitely like, sure, you know, having it in my hand and everything like that. It gives me more of an experience, I would say, but either way, still gonna consume it. You know, regardless. But yeah, I mean, like, I still hold to what I originally said in previous episodes, that everything has intention, right? Like, I truly feel like they didn't go out of their way to remake, you know, Crisis Core for no reason, or remaster it, I should probably say, right? Like, yeah, they clearly want us, like, they set us up with 2 post-credit or whatever. Like, they set us with 2 scenes that basically they're straight up telling us that Zack is somehow alive. We're not gonna tell you how. We're not gonna tell you where he's at. But here is this new reality that we're presenting with this remake universe. And then they drop Reunion. And even though that's like basically a 1-to-1 to the original Crisis Core, I still feel like that game is important just because, you know, like you were saying, this is the first time since its original inception or conception that it's never been available officially. Like, you know, so, you know, that now, you know, modern day, everyone's getting the taste of Zack and that story that's presented with the inclusion of those scenes that already happened in Remake and Integrate. There's no way he's not gonna have some sort of bigger role. And the other thing I guess I wanted to segue and talk to you about now is, like, after that theory video that you had put me onto, I wanted to point out that I still believe that there's like a multiverse thing going on right now. And it's not like, you know, one timeline. There's like several, there's at least a few that we're currently aware of. The original story and then all this remake stuff that's taking place.
Can you, because I watched it a while ago, can you remind me and the folks at home what that theory is that I sent you?
So basically, the theory is that what's happening right now with Remake and Integrate and, you know, everything that's happening right now, apparently, according to this dude, everything is like the same timeline, which totally doesn't make sense. Just given all of the facts. Like, given the facts and the evidence and all the details, because, like, the way a multiverse works and the way a timeline works, like, listen, I come from Dragon Ball Z, I come from Marvel, all right? I think I feel like I have an understanding of how timelines and shit work, okay? Like, when you are from somewhere else, when you're from another time, you go back or you go forward and you change shit, you're creating another timeline. That is just right off rip. That's just how it goes. Even if a lot of those things still line up, that's okay. Because the fact that you change something, it's doing this. You know, like this is the path, and you did this just because you changed something. Because guess what? You're not supposed to be there. You know what I'm saying? Right. Just those little things. That's like very important to keep in mind. You know, like look at all the things that happen in Remake, dude. That whole game is completely different from the original.
Sort of.
You know, like there's a lot of things that Remake introduced that a lot of players like yourself that, like, you know, obviously you beat the shit out of the original game, and it was very noticeable changes. And even for me, like I at least beat that much in the original to know like what I was seeing. I'm like, yo, this did not happen. A lot of this stuff did not happen. So I'm just like, bro, something's up here. And that's basically what the theory was about. It was like he was trying to prove that like all the things that have happened in Remake, even including, you know, the extra scenes where Zack survives and all this kind of stuff, and the integrate and all that stuff, it's all the same. I'm like, that doesn't even make sense. Just with understanding the principle of how, like, you know, alternate timelines even work in the first place.
Okay. I think part of it too, I wish I had watched it before we started recording, but like I think part of it too is that when the changes in Remake, right, I remember now. So Sephiroth opens a portal, the party goes through, and then they come out in a different universe.
How is that? Like, exactly, like how can that be the same thing? That doesn't, like, that's like, unless what he was trying to say is that through that portal they are in what's originally supposed to be like meant for them.
Yeah, and then they destroy the Whisper Harbingers because the Whisper Harbinger shows them, like Red 13 says, I think he says something like a glimpse of what happens here, a glimpse of what happens if we're not successful here today, or something like that. Like, they're showing them scenes from the original game or original timeline, and then they kill the Whisper Harbinger, and then by doing that, it creates a branching reality, and that's where they are now.
Right.
And so because of those changes, within that reality, Zack is alive.
Yeah, and that right there makes it a little confusing, because it's like, well, why did their battle affect something that happened before them anyway?
Because they are in a different reality. Like,
yeah,
I don't know, man.
You see what I mean? Because like where they are in their story from their perspective, it's like, how the fuck does that even make sense? Like, as far as like they're doing something that's altering their current time, which takes place well after Zack.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So
not well after, maybe like a year.
Yeah, I mean, but like that's, you know, like that's a lot of time. I mean, that's, you know, a lot can happen in, you know, even a few months. So like, give or take 365 days on the calendar, dude, that's a while. And like, and throughout the entire game, Cloud is like, of course, he's had all these memory problems. They purposefully don't want him to hear the name Zack.
Right. That is one area where I feel like, and I think it's either Max or is the dude with that theory mentioned, like, if Zack and Cloud meet up soon, it takes away that tension and that drama of Cloud not knowing who he is.
True.
Because Zack will just be like, hey, Cloud. You know what I mean? Like, it'll just happen. Instead of Cloud like getting to figure it out for himself. But yeah, I don't know, like maybe with respect to that theory, like maybe Zack was just like throughout the next game, like forever behind. It was Max talking about it, because Max's theory was like, okay, when Cloud goes missing in 7, that's part of the game. Mm-hmm. Cloud goes missing, maybe that's when Zack shows up. And
yeah.
beats the party,
Uh-huh.
and then Tifa goes to look for Cloud.
Yup. So that was also a part of that.
That would
video.
also work. Sorry. That would also work too because Zack knows Tifa.
Right. They've met before. Yeah. So like.
So if she's not around, Zack can lead the party instead of Sid.
Yo, like that. Just thinking about that is cool because it's like, oh, like he's swapping in, like he's tagging in, like because you have both of them on the team there. That's broken. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever.
Yeah.
But besides that, like that was, like I said, that was also brought up in that theory video, and I was like, oh, that would actually be really funny if that happens. But man, like, see, because here's the thing, right? Like, does that, so if Zack offer it like at any point, like early, right? If he finds them and he meets up with Cloud, why does that automatically mean that Cloud will just remember everything? Who's to say?
It doesn't mean that he will remember everything. It just means that like they're going to have a conversation because Cloud's gonna be like, "Who are you?" And Zack's gonna be like, "Dude, we went through a bunch of shit 5 years ago. Like, don't you remember that?" Like, the way the scene has to logically play out, it like it has to happen.
Yeah. See, in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, if for whatever reason they do, finally meet up and they're trying to have that conversation, like who's to say like there's all this other shit that takes place that
like
interrupts
a weapon
that.
attacks or something. Yeah. There's a lot of ways out of it, but it just becomes like hokey, I think. I think it becomes like it feels like they'd be creating a difficulty in storytelling that is really completely unnecessary, and so they should just do something else.
No, that's true. Yeah, I don't know, like and I might be getting ahead of myself when I say like, I'm fully on board with whatever they're gonna do, because like so far with everything that they've gotten us pretty hyped over, and like, seeing the teases and just the mystery behind it all, like I truly think that whatever happens, we're all gonna get wowed. That's at least my belief.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just the 5 seconds of gameplay that we got from the Rebirth teaser, like of Cloud and Sephiroth walking towards Nibelheim, was a big oh shit moment. Like, and like, what is truth? What is fiction? Like, that's the tagline of the game, basically. And so, yeah, it's going to be, I have no doubt in my mind that it's going to be incredible. I am curious how they're going to implement Yuffie within Rebirth, because like her gameplay is so different than Cloud, like, or anybody. She's like the first aerial character. And like, the enemies within Intergrade are balanced around her, and her and Sonon's team up abilities. And it's like you can get rid of the team up aspect, I think, although it's fun. Maybe you can bring it back in certain instances. Like, the party really doesn't split up ever until Cloud goes missing. So like, I was thinking like maybe there are parts where like you're only ever with one other person, maybe, and then you can like choose to do a team up attack. I don't know. But like, I'm curious, how are they going to balance it? Or is Yuffie not even going to be in this? Right? Like,
yeah, I guess you have to wonder that. But
like Sid and Vincent, like, how do they, and Kate Sith, like, how do they play?
Yeah, I think, well, that's the thing, like, because with this being like a remake, because at the end of the day, like, that's what it is. I can't imagine them not having a presence or being in the game as as playable characters, because like we didn't get to play as Red 13, but he was a part of the party.
Yeah, you could do like very specific actions to control his AI. Like, you can make him do certain things,
right?
But like there's no auto attack with him, nothing. I think there's a mod on PC that makes him playable.
Oh, that's cool.
I think I remember hearing about that. But again, it's only for 4 fights.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because he shows up like at the end, like towards the end. of Remake. So, but yeah, I mean, like, you know, when it comes to those characters, like, see, that stuff I'm not even worried about, because those are notes that need to be hit. You know what I'm saying? Because otherwise it's not, you know, it won't truly, like, it won't like feel or be the same, even though obviously there's a lot of differences and changes. But like, again, like 7 Remake is following how the original 7 was laid out, with all of these differences and changes and basically additions to the overall story that was not present in the original. But there's been, you know, basically like nods towards theories and ideas that certain characters like Sephiroth and Aerith are aware that there is like another world or another version or another timeline, or however way you want to word it, that they are aware of, that they're not, of course, supposed to know. And then because of that, things have obviously, you know, taken a change, you know, in the form of having like this fight with Sephiroth, the Whispers, you know, so on and so forth. And then of course Zack, and she knows, like, dude, I'm still stuck on the on the idea of like, so if Zack is alive and he has the Buster Sword and he's with Cloud, he drops him off somewhere. Okay? Right. He drops him off somewhere, and then at another point, after the church scene that we see at the end of the grade, at some point he gives him the Buster Sword. That's what's to be believed, if it, like, you know, it follows that whole, like, you know. But we won't know until like Rebirth or even Part 3, which we don't even know the name of that game yet. Yeah,
I don't know. I have no idea. I could not guess what it will be.
What do you think?
It's gotta be re-something.
Yeah, re-something. What was like redone?
Redone. Yeah, done as in the end. I felt like Reunion should have been 2.
True.
Because 2 because of what happens in the story at that point. And then Rebirth could have been 3, but I don't know, like.
Yeah, because Rebirth implies heavily that it's like, okay, someone's being reborn, whether that's Aerith, right? You know, like revive for Part 3, revive. Yeah. Yo, like, I mean, that's like almost like Rebirth, but contextually, yes. Like, I mean,
revive Aerith in Part 3.
Yeah, because that, you know, that's another thing. The
rumor comes true.
Yeah, the rumor comes true. You get that option.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
You get the option of reviving her or not, and then I'm sure, you know, that'll be 2 trophies. You know, you play through with reviving her, you play through without.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, you know, there's more guides for you. There you go. Hit them up.
Yeah. Well, I do wish, like, just to get back to Crisis Core, like, I really do wish that we got something. And, like, part of me felt like, is it going to be patched in? Like, is it just because, like, I'm playing, like, an early copy of the game, like, a review copy of it? Like, is it just because, like, it's not there yet? Like, that has happened before with games, but, like, it's the same shit. Like, it's the same exact game.
Pretty much,
with the exception of Whispers being used to censor gore.
Yeah, if we're to believe that route too, but I you know what, I would pay attention to any kind of like interviews that might happen between now and then, you know, because you never know with these dudes. Because again, let me remind folks, they've been changing their minds on the fly. They originally said there was not going to be DLC, and then we got Integrate. Exactly. There was never a mention of them gonna go back to remaster Crisis Core, and we got Reunion.
Yep.
Possibilities are truly endless when you take those things into consideration. And honestly, like, all it takes is for them to just change their minds, even when they say something. Like, depends on what it is, but like, I will always give things the benefit of the doubt, even if certain things might seem like it's concrete. Like, just because they say one thing doesn't mean that they can't change it. So,
of course. Yeah. And what I will say is, even though Reunion, I will say it like met the gameplay expectations. Like I wanted this to be a better version of the PSP game. It has that in spades. It has not affected my hype level. It hasn't dropped my hype level for Rebirth at all. It didn't increase it, certainly, because there's no bonus, but like I am still just as excited for Rebirth as I was before this game was even announced. Like so like maybe that's a good thing, right? Like maybe it's a good thing that like they did not make any changes this way. Like only what happens in Remake and Intergrade can affect your hype level for Rebirth, but I don't know. Yeah. One thing I will say, like, one change I wish they had made is getting rid of like 100 to 200 of those missions. Like,
yeah,
bro, grinding out 300. And granted, it's completely optional, but if you want to fight the secret mega boss of the game, which is always fun to do in a JRPG, like you did not need all 300. You could very easily cut those out.
Yeah, it's a lot of missions, man. Like, and like I said earlier at the beginning of this episode, like, I'm still like I beat the game, right? But I'm trying to get all those missions done. Yeah, like that's a huge grind.
It is a grind, and like there's no other way to put it. Like, I was basically just running along the walls in probably like the last 150 missions to avoid combat. Like if you just run along combat the walls, mode. Yeah, you don't get battles if you just run along the walls.
Right. Yeah, I figured that one out too, and that's something that I didn't like learn or anything like that. Like I literally was like, you know, I noticed if I run straight,
yep, same thing.
I get a lot of encounters, and then I'm like, let me not look that way. And I was like, I was like, oh, I finagled it. I figured some shit out.
Dude, I would literally just hunt the chests, go to the boss. I would do it every single time.
Yeah.
And like I think I beat Minerva at like level 78 or something like that. I'm not fighting her on hard mode. She has 77 million HP. It takes like 30 to 40 minutes to kill her, and you get nothing for it.
It's just, you know, for shits and gigs. Like, here you go,
exactly.
You're playing.
There's like not even a checkbox. Like, you've done this on hard mode. It's nothing.
Yeah, that is a little, I mean, yeah, that is a little odd, I guess, when you say it like that. Like, why bother putting in like a harder difficulty if there was like nothing extra, or like, you know, like imagine if that's what it took to get whatever may have been.
There's one systematic change in this game that we have not discussed, and you saying like imagine that's what it took to get something extra. The Buster Sword proficiency system is brand new to Reunion. But maxing that to 100% does nothing. Like you get new abilities with or new like passive abilities with the Buster Sword.
Yeah.
But like it does not change anything. It just makes you stronger.
Yeah.
And it takes forever to grind it up.
Yep. And you have to use it to like, you know, make those like 0.2%, you know.
Dude, I finished Minerva, I think it was like 13.7%.
Wow.
It's fucking pointless. It's absolutely pointless.
Damn.
And you would think they would give like some sort of lore reason for it. Like they kind of do when you first get it, but it's like, what is the actual benefit here? Like this doesn't help you that much on hard mode. It's certainly not doing much for you on normal mode. So what's the point?
Yeah, honestly, I wonder if, you know, like this was something that they kind of like they swept under the rug, or like it wasn't like something that they caught like when they were about to ship the game out. But like,
it was like an incomplete feature.
Yeah, like the fact that there's a normal and a hard mode, but there realistically isn't anything holding you back from clearing it on normal, changing it to hard right before the last boss, so that way you get the trophy. Yeah, and that's and you've said it. I've seen it on like other like websites that go over like guides and stuff like that too. And they all say that to obtain that trophy, you can literally just go through it normally, and just before you fight the final boss, just change it to hard, and you'll get that. That almost seems like a bug. Almost.
Yeah, it's like a 50-50 what games do. It's like it either is or it isn't in a lot of games, and like Remake I think handled it the best, where it's like you have to get all of the guidebooks to level up your weapons. Like, that's the real hard mode trophy of 7 Remake, is getting all of those.
Mm-hmm.
And like, that's something you have to do on hard mode. You cannot do that on a normal mode. And so like, yeah, I don't think you have to beat Sephiroth on hard mode, but like, you need to get all those books, so you have to beat him. Like, you have to complete chapter 18 on hard mode. But it's not about killing Sephiroth. You could kill Sephiroth first and then go back to chapter 1. Be hard as shit, but you can do that.
Oh, you know what? And now that you said that, that was actually another thing that I didn't like about the game overall, was that you had to utilize all your saves, like the save slots, just to go back to the chapter.
It hurts in 2022 that there's no chapter select.
Yeah, like not even gonna lie, like, you know, like, I've played several RPGs throughout my life, and I've never had to do that, where, like, you know, I have multiple saves. I've never done that in my life. Not for, well, Pokemon you couldn't anyway, but like any other RPGs that I, you know, played or whatever, never did that. Like, I only had just the save file, just the one, and that's it. Like, and then when I'm following like guides and I'm looking at how people are like accessing these, and like, I was like wondering, like, yo, how are you doing it for your videos? And then it was just like, for you, it was like second nature. I was like, oh yeah, like, you have a save for every chapter. I'm like,
so that was a result of messing up. Like, I think I got to Nibelheim, or just before Nibelheim, and I was going back and seeing like what I needed to complete in Midgar. And I started going through the trophy list, and I noticed there were like several Hojo related trophies that I didn't get. And I was like, damn. And then I looked it up. I was like, is there a chapter select in Reunion? The answer was no. So what I did was I just started a new game, skipped every dialogue, every cutscene, did nothing but hold forward.
Right.
Get into whatever battles hit me, but I did no grinding.
Mm-hmm.
And then I like saved at the start of each chapter using that playthrough.
Right.
And then like got up to Hojo, did what I missed, and then went back to my normal one. And I did that. It took me like an hour and a half.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Like, as long as you skipping scenes, it's totally doable. Because like, that's kind of like what I was doing when I like, because there's really no new game plus. It's just like
no.
You know,
it exists, but it's pointless.
Yeah, like, you beat the game, you still have like the things that you earned, but like, unless you're at certain points of the game, you might not be able to, like, you know, take advantage of those things quite yet. You know, like right now where I'm at, I don't even have the Buster Sword yet, but I'm still like clearing through missions. Like, I'm literally just chilling in like right outside Shinra headquarters at that save point, just like going through every mission that I have access to right now. And then like, what I'm trying to do is like, I'm trying to see how far or what I can complete right then and there. So that way I'll be like, okay, what do I have to follow now in order to like get whatever trophy that I'm missing? So that way, like, you know, then I'm doing it that way. So
selfishly, I'll tell you, like, look at the playlist on my channel.
Nah,
the playlist is in order. The playlist is in order of the missable trophies, like in chapter order. And then what's very helpful is on GameFAQs, somebody wrote a guide back in 2008 called like Crisis Core Missables, and it tells you like what missions are missable, what fan clubs are like, when things become missable, like what you need to do before you finish certain things. And so that's a very, very helpful guide. I refer to that one a lot in my own playthrough.
And that's crazy because, like you said the 2008 guide. It still works on this one.
Bro, like that. So not to get like on a non-Final Fantasy related tangent, it is related, but like while I was doing that, and like, because like there are certain things that like straight up as a guide maker, I'm like, I'm not going to know that. Like, I'm not going to fucking sit here, steal from every single enemy and write everything down. Like, I do a lot. I take a lot of notes and like I do a lot. But stuff like that, it's like work smarter, not harder. Like if the information already exists, just use it. And like give credit where credit's due. Like, I'm not sitting here claiming that I know everything about Crisis Core. I'm telling you, look up this guide on GameFAQs that was published 15 years ago. But point being, it really bothers me that, like, modern websites are, like, so bloated with information and oftentimes very wrong, like, very incorrect. And they will also build pages and publish them in an incomplete form where it's like, here's mission 2-5-6. And it's like, check back for more information. And it's like, why publish the page? And it's just to get you to the top of the search results.
Right.
And then, like, if you go on GameFAQs for any game that's ever been remastered, go on GameFAQs and look at the old guides that people typed out in their spare time for no money. Like, that's where all of the good information is.
Yeah.
And, like, a lot of times, I've seen this countless times, dude. Modern guide websites will take those old GameFAQs guides and copy paste the information and then just put the screenshots or the videos from the remaster. And
Damn.
it's like, it's fucking depressing.
Yeah,
and it really bothers me. And, like, it happened several times at Crisis Core. I was like, oh yeah, like, who do I steal gold rolling pins from? I remember those being worth a lot of money. And, like, the big problem is, like, and this happened with Demon Souls. When Demon Souls came to PS5, like, I know the Souls games extremely well. But again, there's stuff where I'm just like, I can't remember where this ring is, or I can't remember, like, what enemy to farm for, you know, this upgrade material. And so in the past, when the game was only on PS3, there was a website called Wikidot, Wikidot. And it was just a very plain looking wiki, very well curated. And then, like, we now live in the world of like Fextra Life and Power Picks and everything. And they're fine websites, but, like, when you start searching for things, they are the first ones that come up. And oftentimes the information is wrong because it's, like, unmoderated. Whereas, like, if you just type in the same question and put Wikidot at the end of it, the correct wiki comes up. But it's, like, so far buried in the search results if you don't, like, specifically look for it.
Yeah.
And so, like, I'm really glad that, like, I think it's GameSpot, or it's either GameSpot or IGN that owns GameFAQs now. I'm really glad that they have kept it online because, like, it's just so useful. And, like, the guides that people wrote back then are oftentimes so good. And the other great thing is that there was, like, a rating system. And so, like, if the guide was rated highly, it just showed up at the top. And it's like, use this one.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it was great. And so, like, I don't know, like, when looking at certain missions or, like, trying to find out what's missable, what to do when, you're still just better off looking at something from 15 years ago. And it's like, yeah, it may not be as pretty. There may not be screenshots inside of it. But because of the fact that there were no screenshots, it's written very well. And, like, they have to be very descriptive in what they're telling you. So just use it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so just an aside of, like, how the industry and the world has changed. But, yeah.
Yeah. All in all, I mean, if I had to give the game a rating, I would give it, like, I would give Crisis Core, like, I'm like trying to weigh it between a 7 or an 8.
And I wanted to write it before you said it.
Yeah.
That's mine.
Yeah, like, because, you know, a lot of things, like you said, the quality of life things that were definitely needed for something like this, you know, like, even though storyline wise for the majority, it was, you know, 1-to-1. You know, of course, all the graphical changes and even the soundtrack. Like, we got new tracks that did not exist in the original. And we definitely got some new tracks. Like, there was songs that played that were like remixes, is what I guess I really mean to say.
Sure, they updated.
Yeah, you know,
that Sector 5 music, I fucking hate it.
wait.
I fucking hate that track.
Yeah,
Terrible. That is an awful song. They should be ashamed of themselves.
Hey, and you know what though? Like, I thought I was gonna hate the other one where, like you heard that for everything in the original Crisis Core. The like I thought.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like I thought that song, like we were just gonna get that, which we did, but they like remixed it a lot, and I was like, oh,
It's better.
yeah,
It's better.
Oh, it's way better.
It's more like poignant. It's like a bit stronger of a song. One thing that I do want to briefly touch on. I'm worried about Zack's new voice actor. Like, I think at the start of the game, up until like he gets the Buster Sword, and like I think it makes some sense, and it's always hard to tell: is it the voice actor? Is it the sound engineer? Is it the voice? Is it the VO director? Like, what is the problem?
Yeah,
Because he sounds fine in Remake and Integrate. He sounds fine. But in Reunion, for some reason, he sounds terrible.
certain times,
like,
yeah.
Throughout, like, the first 3/4 of the game, I thought he sounded awful. And, like, part of it was, like, he sounds flat. Like, there's no gravel to his voice at all. And it's odd, which makes me think it's like a sound problem, like a mixing problem, like somebody messed up. Or maybe he was playing into the fact that like Zack is at that point like still very young and naive and not experienced.
Right.
Because when he gets the Buster Sword, he sounds better. But like it was just a weird, very weird transition. Because I like his original voice so much. And like I thought everybody else was fine. And like, because it's a 1-to-1 remake, it's like using the same code. They have to keep the voice timings the exact same. So he literally has to say the same exact thing that the previous voice actor said in order to keep the game on pace and for it to work. And so maybe those sorts of things don't sound natural in his voice.
Right.
Maybe that's part of the problem. But like, if Zack has a prominent place in Rebirth or Part 3, I'm a little worried. Even though he sounds fine in Remake, I am a little worried.
Yeah, though, you made good points though. Like, you know, it definitely there's a lot of factors to consider because like direction is a humongous factor in, you know, anything, you know, anime and cartoons, video games, obviously. Because, like, again, at the end of the day, for people that don't realize, like, you know, voice actors are paid actors. Like they're doing a job, you know, and at the end of the day, it's up to the director to tell them how they're supposed to deliver lines at certain moments and times and whatnot. So, like, that's a very real thing. Also, going to what you were saying with how, like, you know, like, at the early stages of the game, he sounds like he's supposed to sound. And that could be a combination of the two, whether it was that with the director told them to do that and they said, okay, yeah, that's good, do that. Like keep that up.
Even though it didn't sound great, they were like, no, do it anyway. Like,
right. Yeah. So like it was I wouldn't say for me it was concerning because it was definitely something that was like almost like polarizing in a way. Cause I was just like, why does he sound so off like during certain moments? Because it was for me it was inconsistent, you know, like he had those certain dialogue was just not there, you know, like it was just like, what are you doing, right? Like like, is this your first like job doing voice acting?
Yeah, it's not
like that?
It's not like,
right,
he's been around,
right. Yeah, so and then when I would hear him like really work, I'm like, there we go. Like, where's this Zack for the rest of the game? You know what I'm saying? So I feel like, that wasn't, like I said, like it wasn't too much of a worry because like I already know that once we get Zack in Rebirth or, you know, that and Part 3.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
Exactly. Yeah.
I do think that Cloud's voice actor did a very good job.
Fire. Absolutely.
Yeah, like at just sounding younger. Like I think that his actor has a better ability for that. Granted, Cloud has way less lines in this game than Zack. Like he's barely in the game until the end. And even in the end, he doesn't really talk.
Right.
For obvious reasons. But like, I definitely like. I think he did a really good job. I think Tifa's voice actor did a very good job. Like, I think everybody did a fine job, but Zack was just so odd.
Yeah.
For 3/4 of the game.
Yeah, it's like you wonder. It's like I wonder if it actually was intentional because for whatever reason. But
it almost feels like it has to be like.
Right.
It's strange. It was strange, and like I tried not to focus on it, but like every time he spoke. Up until the end of Modeoheim, like every time he yelled "Angeal," it was just like, what? Like, what? Who sounds like this?
Yeah.
And like, again, like there's no bass to his voice, and like I know I have like a bassy voice, like I can feel that I have a bassy, like I know I do, and like to like hear someone who has no bass to their voice, it's like no one sounds like this. Like everybody has some timbre to their voice, like everybody does.
Right.
And like playing it with headphones, playing it on a surround sound, like nothing made sense. And like then he sounded fine towards the end. I don't know. Strange. Very strange.
Yeah. But yeah, other than that, I mean, pretty much like really squeezed this one out, like every little drop that there was to mention about Reunion. Overall, I would say both of our experiences was very good, very positive with, a few little exceptions.
Play the game.
Absolutely, play the game, yeah.
I will never tell somebody that it's a bad game or that they should not play it. If you're a Final Fantasy fan, regardless of Final Fantasy VII, regardless if you've played the original, I think if you played the original, you get a lot out of it. You get a lot more out of it, but like, even if you haven't played Remake, if this is your first entry into Final Fantasy VII, it's a good one. It is a good game.
Yeah, especially for my experience, like this is coming from someone who never even played Original Crisis Core. So like, hey, you used to straight up tell me like, dude, don't even play it. Just watch cutscenes.
Oh, dude, it was fucking awful. It was fine. It was a fine game for 2008, but it's like, I cannot in good conscience tell somebody in like 2012 or 2015 or 2020, yeah, go buy a PSP and go play this game. You've got to play this. No,
you gotta
not at all.
Yeah,
nope.
Cancel that. Hold on, I got a better one.
Look it up.
Yeah.
Like, it aged like milk. It was fucking awful.
Yeah. I'm glad. Either way, like you said also, just to wrap up really quick, that like, it didn't nullify my excitement for the future projects at all. In a way, because of the lack thereof expectation that we kind of set for ourselves, and I mean not just we set, they fucking set the expectation, but yeah, I would say because of that too, that it I wouldn't say it amplified it, but it turned the knob like maybe a notch. Because I was like, yo, they can't leave me like this because I know there's going to be more that's going to have to be explained. And who knows, maybe through these novels, because guess what? It's two books that's coming out. The Trace of Two Paths, that's part 1. So, and that's almost a 400-page book. So I don't know how long the second one's going to be, but I'd imagine that both of these would release prior to Rebirth. And if these are bridging, that's some shit that we're going to have to freaking pay attention to. And that could actually just be stuff that we end up talking about here on future episodes of RECAST. So,
yeah. And I mean, it is 2023. E3 is 6 months away.
Oh, we're getting a trailer. That's like 100% guaranteed.
If we have anything, if we use E3 2019 as anything to go by, we're going to get a huge chunk of information in June. I guess 5.5 months.
June is going to be a great month. Holy shit. Street Fighter 6, Spider-Man, my birthday, Final Fantasy 16. Bro, and then E3, it's over.
So E3 is very likely going to fall on like the one work event that I run every year, that I help run. So I probably will not be able to go to E3 this year, even though I live in Los Angeles now.
I've never been, so I'm not missing out on, I'm so used to just trying to schedule my life around it so I can just be home to watch.
I'll say this about E3. it's something everyone should experience. It's something everyone should go to. But unless you are like a journalist or like something akin to that in the industry, you don't need to go more than once. It's a better experience at home.
Yeah. No, I feel that because like I'm not even gonna lie, I'm not even a big fan of lines, and I know people be standing in line like
it's terrible.
Like, exactly. Yeah.
Terrible, dude. The one year that I went, I ended up playing Quake Champions 4 times just because it was like I'm the best one here, and like like I can keep winning hats and scarves.
All right.
And there was no line. And like I think I played Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. I played Matterfall a lot because that didn't have a line, and like people weren't familiar with Housemarque at that point, but I loved Resogun to death, so I was excited for Matterfall.
Oh.
And then I did get to watch Spider-Man. I did get into the like their booth thing.
Oh, for Insomniac?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, see, that's fire.
Yeah, it was a cool experience. Like everybody should go once.
Yeah,
but like it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna lie. See, so my exception to that rule, like for me at least, is like if I had like a Capcom treatment where like you're like, oh yeah, like if you go and you're there, like you have private time and gotta wait, I'll be like, all right.
Unless you're at that level.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Come on, Square, hook us up. Have that demo ready. Come on, fly us up.
I applied. I applied for press access with my YouTube channel. We'll see what happens, but yeah.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
All right. So, Ryan, what is next for you as a Final Fantasy VII fan who has not finished the original, who has played Remake, now you've played Crisis Core? What is next for you?
That's a great question. So, immediately right now, I am, at the time of this episode, I'm on a stream break. And the reason for that is so that I can actually reorganize and just like resituate how I'm doing things. I mean, you
also just moved across the country again.
Oh, well, yeah, true. Yeah. But yeah, with all that in mind, I'm like, and this is not like a New Year's resolution thing, because like, whenever people like put that tag on shit, that shit lasts like 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, I'm with the changes for the long-term duration, like so I say all this because I'm getting all of my projects in order, and I'm taking things on as I can. However, one of those things is that I am going to, like I said to you, I'm gonna go back and tackle 7, the original, to finally have this shit beat this year, because like this is the year. All right? It's been long enough. It's been far too long. I know you've been like strangling me virtually to freaking beat this shit, and that's what's gonna happen. And the thing about it is that I don't have any real pressure, because right now it's January, and I'm not trying to say like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna dilly-dally and wait until the month before we get an actual date for Rebirth. But I want to make sure that when I'm finally done with getting these missions, and because right now, like, I'm enjoying like just running through Reunion just to try to get all those like remaining trophies and stuff, and just so that like once I 100% it, there's really no reason to kind of like go back unless I really try to run the train through the game with like all the best equip and everything. It's like I just breathe on an enemy and they just like explode. Like, I want to have that completely done. I want to have 7 done. And then I even went as far ahead and thinking and having this thought, and that once we get closer to Rebirth, that's also where I might actually go back to Remake. And that kind of makes me excited.
So I'm really excited for you to play 7, and I hope we can find time to talk about it as you're doing it. Podcast or no. I mean, selfishly, I think it's a great idea for a podcast.
Oh yeah, no, I'm with it. Yeah, if you guys are down for the updates, let us know in the comments, of course.
Yeah,
of course.
But as soon as Rebirth gets a date, I'm gonna go back and play Remake again.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, and like I didn't do like a hard run either. So like
oh, okay.
Yeah, so like I have, plenty to do if I, whenever I do make, do the return, because like, and let me just say this, I know I don't normally do this for any game. I only really try to do stuff like that for games that I really, really love and enjoyed a lot. And so far, that's realistically only happened with Spider-Man. Like 2018.
I've gone back to that a few times. Not like a full replay, but like I've gone back to that game to do like random challenges.
Oh, dude. Listen, I love Spider-Man. Like, he's my favorite superhero of all time. And when that game came out, as you know, I made sure I had the PS4 Pro Spider-Man Edition.
That is a sick PS4 Pro.
Exactly. Okay, that shit is fire. And I know when Spider-Man 2 comes out, I know they're going to have the PS5 for it. I don't care if it's Pro or not. They're going to have a bundle for it, and it's going to have a design on there, and I'm going to get that. Because that's
hopefully
how much
they just release it as plates. I would hate to have to go buy another PS5.
They know they're gonna get suckers like me, and I don't care. And I don't care.
If they do a Rebirth PS5, I'll buy that.
Oh, see, you see what I mean? You see what I mean? Like I would be in trouble if both of those came out in the same year. Oh, I'd be fucked. I'd be like, holy shit, I got mad PlayStation 5s.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like I only ever do like what I'm saying for games that I really, really, really love. And I feel like I already love 7 overall. Like, it's my favorite Final Fantasy out of all of them. And obviously, like, no secret, like, it's probably because I don't have too much experience with any of the other ones. Like, I have experience with 13. I have experience with 4. I had, like, a 1 hour experience with 10. But then I fell asleep and I had to give the game back to my friend, because I was in the 8th grade, and it wasn't my copy. And I actually have it. I have the remaster for PS4 now. I just haven't played it. But 7, like I've said in previous recast episodes, is the one Final Fantasy game that I have multiple experiences with, even though I have never beaten it. But it's over time all throughout the course of my young and now young adult life or whatever. And like, and through Remake, through the 27 impromptu hour stream that I had back in 2020 during the pandemic to just beat that fucking game, that shit changed my life. And I thought it was a masterpiece. I still think it is. And
sure, I agree.
All the excitement that we've been going back and forth talking about, all the theories and everything, just creating this recast all together, getting hyped for Reunion, like, I'm only like it's gonna get that same like love and respect type of treatment. Like, dude, I'm buying a fucking novel. I don't read shit like that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't do that. Yeah. So like, I'm just super hype, and like, there was something I was low key scared to do, especially to go back to Remake on hard, because like, holy shit, like. But I feel like I got new goggles on. Like, I just gotta I gotta go for those good ass items, and those like the I call them sets, but it's not builds. There you go. Like, go for the right builds and shit. So you have a little bit of an easier time like fighting, all the hard bosses and everything like that. But man, I just cannot wait to re-experience that again right before Rebirth, and then you go in fresh, and then Rebirth happens, man. Like, I'm so excited for this year.
I'm glad, man. I'm really glad to hear it. I hope, with E3, I hope we get a date, and then I can like start playing it. I'll probably do it on normal, just because hard mode is difficult. I don't know, maybe not. Hard mode, you can't use items, so.
Oh shit! I didn't know that.
Hard mode, you can't use items, and benches don't replenish MP.
So wait, you can't use items at all, or just for battles?
None.
So how would you? Oh, so how would you even restore your MP then?
Between chapters.
Holy shit, that is hard.
Like between chapters, everything gets replenished. So like the idea, like the game is designed around not having items. Like when you play it on hard mode, you will realize that like they're completely unnecessary. You don't need them, and because you have them all from normal mode, they will just sit in your inventory forever. Like, they are absolutely pointless. And what's interesting is, like, if you were to just beat the game, like, if you were to take your save file and then just go back to chapter 1 on hard mode, you will not be able to beat it. Like, what you need to do is you need to, like, grind your characters to level 50, which is really fast. You can do it in like 30 minutes, and then go to hard mode. Like, hard mode is meant to be played at max level.
Wow, that, you know, that, and now I remember why I was scared.
Yeah, like I did it. Like, I went from Sephiroth and I was like, that was sick. Next day, it's like hard mode, and then I could not beat the guard scorpion. I couldn't beat it.
Holy shit. Yeah.
Because
that's
on
crazy.
hard mode, it can heal itself. Like, it literally casts cure on itself. So if you can't, it's like a softened rage. Like, if you can't kill it quick enough, you will just never be able to kill it.
What the heck? Yeah, no. Then that means I'd have to be like so many steps ahead just on trying to make sure that any move I make means something and really fucking matters, because like,
I killed Sephiroth. I think Tifa had 1 HP on hard mode. Everybody else was dead. And like, the real issue is that like my materia setup was bad. Like, it just wasn't good. But I did not want to fight the Whisper Harbingers again. And so I was like, nah, I'm just gonna brute force this shit. Like, I kept retrying Sephiroth over and over and over.
Yeah, it's bringing
and I
me
eventually
back.
got him.
Yeah, that's no. Like, I
And
know
everyone in my stream was like, just redo it. And I was like, nope. No, it's possible. I know it's possible.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna cross that bridge when we get there. So
For sure.
Yeah.
All right, man. This was an absolute pleasure. I think we can call this Recast Season 1. And maybe
like
Season
that.
2 will be some discussions as you go through the original 7. Maybe we'll do some stuff then. But for sure, I think if we're both agreeing to play Remake at some point, maybe we should make that a season where we just kind of talk about Remake as we go through it again.
Fine. Yeah, no, I'm down. I'm definitely down. This is a lot. It was always a lot of fun. Any excuse to talk to you about fucking Final Fantasy is good enough for me.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
What I will say is, since you're a fan of Final Fantasy VII, you basically have to play 10 because they take place in the same world.
What? No, for real?
Maybe.
No.
It's an Easter egg. It's like the same planet. It's just an Easter egg.
Oh my! But that alone, that's enough for someone like me to just hang on to. I'm like, oh my god, like
yeah.
like
There's a character. It's either like way after or way before, but it's Gaia. It's the same planet, and there's a character. It's not a playable character. It's just like an NPC that you're around all the time on your airship. His name is Shinra. And like, he knows everything. Like, he's a very smart kid. And like, if you ever need like information on monsters or secrets in the world, like, you go to him and you talk to him.
What the fuck?
I can't remember if it's after or before 7, but it's the same planet.
See, I suppose it makes me wonder. I mean, this is why we should, you know, there's always room for more episodes here on Recast, because that could give us an extra like 30 minutes right off that. I'm thinking now.
It's literally a tiny thing. It's a very tiny thing. 10 is a fantastic game, though. I think it might be the best turn-based RPG ever.
Damn.
It is incredible.
Shout out to Titus.
Top to bottom, it's good.
Yeah, I have it, like I said, sitting there in my freaking PS4, freaking bunch of cases of games I never touched. So
I think next to 7 is the one I've played the most. I've played it like 4 or 5 times.
Wow. Damn, it must be that good then, huh? Sheesh. Well, until then, I guess we're gonna have to see.
That's the end of Season 1. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. This was a real pleasure. You know, Ryan and I go way back, and I've been hounding him to play Final Fantasy VII since he was a child, and he still hasn't done it. So maybe in 2023 is the year, maybe.
This is the year, man. I'm telling you, it's gonna happen.
Yeah. But we will see you again soon with whatever comes next for Final Fantasy VII, either Uchi's playthrough of the original, or when we go through Remake again, or with Rebirth at the very least. But thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Peace.
I've been waiting for this.